Today is Friday, April 28th, and we're going to go around the bases with our MLB insider at the New York Post, Jon Heyman. Jon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. We want to start off with our top story with Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees. Judge left the game Thursday against the Texas Rangers with what they called right hip discomfort. And we obviously saw the play that happened when he was sliding into third on Wednesday's game, where he appeared to be a little bit hurt, but he played the rest of that game, and then he couldn't finish yesterday's game against the Rangers. Now with Judge out, I wanted to ask you, how concerning is this Yankees offense, which has gotten off to a pretty slow start here to the season, especially with Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson, Harrison Bader, all still on the IL, and now it looks like Judge might be out for a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely concerning. We're talking about arguably the best hitter, best position player in the game. He carried this team second half last year, was a clear MVP winner last year, and I mean, just a terrific player. So any lost games from Aaron Judge is a big blow to the Yankees, who are 18th in runs, 19th in OPS. Not good. They're not off to a great start. There's some holes in that lineup. Obviously, they're missing Bader, Donaldson, as you said, Stanton. A lot of guys out, but Judge is the key guy. He is the best player on that team, and certainly a blow to not have him for any number of games. I personally, and this is just a footnote, they called it discomfort. You're absolutely accurate there. I don't like that being called discomfort. He's not going to be missing games or being pulled out of a game with discomfort. He's obviously in pain. So, I mean, it's a nice euphemism, whatever. He's a tough guy. He's going to play if he's in discomfort. He is in pain, and hopefully it doesn't last too long. He didn't think it would last too long, and for now we'll be confident or feel good about the fact that he is saying that he thinks it's going to be a short stay out because they cannot be without him.
Yeah, obviously, you talk about the AL MVP from last year. It's tough to replicate those numbers. And like you said, he's a key cog to that offense. One other aspect going to our next topic here is the Yankees were thought to be looking for a new left fielder, possibly by the trade deadline. And one of those options seemed to have come off the board with Bryan Reynolds signing an 8-year extension with the Pittsburgh Pirates. What did you make of that extension?
Well, first of all, what a fantastic start for Pittsburgh. Every way they could start. I mean, to sign McCutchen in the offseason, that was a nice story. And Drew Maggi now coming up 1154 games in the minor leagues, finally getting a start and getting that standing ovation deserved from the crowd. What determination. Great for him. And signing Bryan Reynolds, that's a big plus for the Pirates. That's the biggest contract they've ever signed. Now only 3 teams have not signed a $100 million player. This was a $100 million extension on top of the $6.75 million that he makes this year. Look, the guy wanted to be in Pittsburgh. He liked being a Pirate. Got to give him credit for that. I know there has been speculation about the Yankees and several other teams in recent years, certainly teams that need an outfielder, particularly one who bats left-handed. And, he would have been a nice fit from that standpoint. But, I think he liked it in Pittsburgh, not to say anything. We don't know if he would be a good Yankee or not, but, maybe he was a guy who preferred to be in a small market. I mean, it is kind of curious that he had a trade request when he wanted to be in Pittsburgh. And I do believe the story now that he wanted to be in Pittsburgh all along. Guys do that, though. The agents do that, and they give a request to try to speed along the negotiation or do something, because I don't think they ultimately believed that he was ever going to be traded. And from everything we heard about the trade demands, they were very, very, very high. And I don't think they ever got anywhere near trading him. So this was the one that made sense for Pittsburgh. Good for them. And he got a partial no trade, 6 teams. I know he wanted the opt out. I mean, he's not a free agent. He's not a free agent for 3 years. To give him an opt out after 4 years, that really was not going to happen. I don't blame anyone for asking in negotiation. I've been in a few negotiations myself. It's great to ask, but I think this was the right deal. Nice long deal for Pittsburgh. Basically a lifetime Pirate. Very good all-around player. Center fielder who can hit. Those are rare. So good for him for getting this thing done, and good for the Pirates.
Yeah, and he's been off to obviously another great start along with the team. First place in the NL Central, 18-8 record coming into today. Jon, let's go to our next topic here, and let's talk about the New York Mets. The starting pitching. Kodai Senga struggled in his last start, walking 4 batters. Carlos Carrasco is on the IL. Verlander's nearing a return. Scherzer's serving a suspension. What can you say about this Mets starting rotation? How concerned are you with this team's long-term success if this starting rotation is going to struggle and deal with injuries at the same time?
I mean, you have to be concerned about the rotation right now. A lot of issues. Obviously, Senga's got to throw more strikes. He's the one healthy guy out of the top 5 starters. Obviously, Quintana, we knew he was going to be out for 3 months. Carrasco's got an issue right now. Scherzer had a side situation before he was suspended for 10 days. Verlander obviously hasn't pitched yet as a Met. Verlander and Scherzer should be back this week pitching for the Mets. And, that's going to be big because really that is the key. I mean, obviously Carrasco's a fine pitcher. Quintana's a fine pitcher. Senga, we think, is going to be a very good pitcher. But, I mean, this team is built around those $243.33 million pitchers, 2 guys in the way to the Hall of Fame, Scherzer and Verlander, and they have to be great for not just be present. They have to be great for this team to be a real viable World Series candidate. And, I mean, looking at their track record, you believe that is possible, even though we haven't seen it yet. Scherzer's been okay until he was suspended, but he's got, again, that side thing. Verlander had this issue, certainly happened on opening day. He should be back soon. He's got a rehab game coming up tonight as we do this. And, they need Verlander and they need Scherzer. It's not just Carrasco and Quintana and Senga who have issues. It's those 2 that are really, really the issue for the Mets.
Yeah, hopefully, like you said, looking to get them back soon and they can make a contribution, as the NL East is no easy division, and they're going to try to make their stamp there. Let's bring this all home, John, and talk about the Chicago White Sox. Again, off to a tough start this season, currently in 4th place in the AL Central, 7-19 record. Their GM had some interesting comments saying he was taking the blame for their slow start, saying, "Put it on me. It's the job of the GM. It's the absolute gig. It sure as heck isn't on Pedro Grifol, his manager, or the coaching staff." What did you take away from his comments and the White Sox, who were once a promising young team, now all of a sudden struggling again?
Well, I think what Rick Hahn said was the right thing to say, and it was the smart thing to say at this point. I don't necessarily disagree. I do think they have a lot of good players, and, sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. This might be one case where there are a lot of great parts here and they just don't fit together for whatever reason. It seems to be a chemistry issue. I mean, I don't know. I was in that clubhouse in spring training. I mean, it's kind of quiet, but it was hard to tell that there was any issue from being there a couple days. But that seems to be the case because they have 5 viable starting pitchers. Obviously, good news with Liam Hendricks that he's cancer-free now. When he gets back, they should have a good bullpen. For now, they've got Graveman and some other pretty talented guys in that bullpen, and that lineup looks pretty solid. Now, they've had a lot of injuries. I mean, that is an excuse. They're not going to use it. That is one issue that they do have, but there must be a chemistry problem because last year was a season of underachievement as well. Even at 500, they were underachieving. Now at 7-19, I mean, the A's are doing worse, and we know the A's aren't even trying. So, I mean, this is quite a brutal start for the White Sox. Unexpected. He did say the right things. I don't know if we can really blame him because you're looking at that roster, it looks pretty good. They just don't fit together is the way I read it at this point.
Yeah, and the performance, like you said, is not there. They rank 25th in scoring, 29th in ERA, and like we said, it's been a very sluggish start for them. The team's just not performing. John, thank you so much for going around the bases as always. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Ryan.